The information provided in this podcast is for general knowledge and informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for diagnosis and treatment of any medical condition. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Unplugged Healthcast or Dr. Wall.
Do you ever have a consistent exposure to difficult relationships? Those dramas, those traumas, it will literally change your DNA. That's epigenetics. There's always hope for your health. You don't stop repairing yourself until you're 6 feet under. You're not sick because of your parents' DNA. It is possibly a response of your own DNA or the alteration of your DNA, the epigenetics.
Neck pain, backaches, headaches, fatigue, the list goes on, and you're likely on it. Tired of the broken system and big pharma? We offer logical solutions, teach you to think critically, and empower you to reclaim your health. Welcome to the Unplugged Healthcast with Dr. Kevin Wall.
Welcome back to the Unplugged Healthcast. Dr. Wall here. Summer is upon us. In Arizona, it is warming up fast. I'm even in my shorts today. That sun is a beautiful thing. And if you happen to not see our last podcast about the benefits of the sun, I would really recommend you go back and listen in. But today, I have something new for you today. I have a poem from a reasonably well-known author, B.J. Neblett. We are the sum total of our experiences. Those experiences, be they positive or negative, they make us the person we are at any one given point in our lives. And like a flowing river, those same experiences and those yet to come continue to influence and reshape the person we are and the person we become. None of us are the same as we were yesterday, nor will we be tomorrow. Today, our subject is, you are as healthy as you think you are. One of my favorite people, authors, motivating speakers, people that I have just probably called a consultant, would be a guy named Zig Ziglar. Would recommend anything and everything he's ever written. But he said long ago, you are what you are where you are because of what goes into your mind. Jim Rohn, more of a recent motivational guy, says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. E.A. Bucanero says we are the sum total of all the decisions we have made up to this point. See, most of these authors, including BJ, I'm sure never realized they were making the anthem for epigenetics. They were making statements that they knew to be true, and after 36 years of practice, I have seen this consistent trend. You have heard the term mind-body experience, mind-body connection. In the 36 years of practice, there is without question a consistent relationship between what's going on inside someone's mind, their brain, and what's going on outside their mind in their physiology. There's without a question a connection between what you think and how you feel. Well, these authors have talked about it, but they didn't know at that point that the research would soon back them up. Today, the research, the science, 100% documents the exact scenario, the exact physiology that connects why what you think and what goes on inside your brain and who you surround yourself with will affect your, not only your physiology, but your genetics, your epigenetics. Epigenetics, the switchgate of your genetic railway path. If you've ever ridden a train or watched a movie where there was a train, we all know on the train tracks, there's a thing called a switchgate. And that's where it can switch and reroute the train in a different direction. So just theoretically say we're heading our way over to San Antonio, but all of a sudden the switchgate shifts and we start heading to Albuquerque. Well, that may not have been where we wanted to go, but someone shifted the switchgate, and that's where we're headed. Let's take a few moments. I'm going to have you watch a very popular viral video on epigenetics, and we're going to see how this applies to your health in your future.
We've all heard of genetics, but what is epigenetics? And the only I think of EpiPen, and I think of epicenter of an earthquake. How do you get epigenetics?
There are two types of information in the body. We know of genetics. Genetics is the DNA. The epigenetics are the control systems that tell which genes to be switched on and off, which DNA to be looped out and unraveled and read by the cell versus which genes to be bundled up and silenced. And that's the epigenome, the reader of the genome.
Okay, there's a definite difference between your genetics and your epigenetics. The genetics is your DNA, and the epigenetics is the switch that illustrates what is presented from your DNA. Not only what you look like, but how you feel. This switch that sets off your epigenetics, or this different rail pathway, is not a random thing. It's a response. It's a response most commonly set off by a thing called CDR, cell danger response. This is a reaction that causes your tracks to shift. And all of a sudden, instead of heading for San Antonio, you're headed for Albuquerque. Let me give you a little story that maybe helps you understand what this would look like. My son, Zachary, at the age of 6, he was a great kid. For the most part, we probably kept our kids living in bubbles. You know, it was Veggie Tales, and it wasn't a lot of video games. It wasn't traumatic, crazy music or videos that were violent. It was just very simple children's shows at all. So, but the age of 6, I saw, hey, you know what, some friends on, I think Easter, were going to see the Avenger movie, Captain America. And I thought, well, gosh, this would be a great time. Let me take my son to the Avengers movie. So popcorn, you know, licorice, and we were ready for the movie to start. He was sitting in front of me with a couple of our friends' children, and we were going on, and the movie got to the point where Captain America's friend gets tortured early on in the movie. Well, if you've ever seen this scene, I mean, it's pretty graphic. My son had never seen anything like this, and holy mackerel, his body went into CDR, cellular danger response. He knew he was at the movies, but his brain could not perceive the difference. He literally went into a variation of shock and passed out right there in the movie theater, limp, leaning over in his chair. To our dismay, this was the end of the movie. I picked him up. We took him out. Thankfully, it didn't take long for him to come out of it. But wow, we did not go to another Avenger movie. I think he's 21 now. I don't think he's ever seen another Avenger movie or any of those types of movies ever since. Well, this is an example of CDR. When your body senses danger, and unfortunately, it can be perception, not even reality. Let me give you the definition of CDR, cellular danger response. This is an adaptive biologic mechanism where cells react to real or perceived threats by altering their internal environment. It's triggered by a variation of factors, including mental drama or trauma, chemical drama or trauma, or physical threats from drama or trauma. This involves changes in the metabolism. The membranes of your cells become different, how they function, and the signaling pathways between the cells also are altered. CDR, by its nature, is a protective mechanism, of course, but if it's prolonged, if you're stuck in a chronic state or a redundant exposure to CDR, it will literally reset your track. You will create a very new pathway, beat it down till it's a chronic state. This is what leads to chronic illness in a lot of Americans. And it also leads to epigenetics, which is the alteration, somewhat permanent alteration of your DNA. See, my son had a reaction, CDR. We did not keep exposing him to those movies, so he did not get epigenetical changes. But you all that's a different story. Let me just break this down. So what you think, how stressful your thought process is, how much drama or trauma that goes on inside your head or around you will set off cellular responses that change your physiology, and ultimately, if chronically left that way or consistently, redundantly, repetitively exposed to those stresses, those dramas, those traumas, it will literally change your DNA. That's epigenetics. I've always said, you're not sick because of your parents' DNA. You didn't probably inherit these health conditions you're dealing with, but it is possibly a response of your own DNA or the alteration of your DNA, the epigenetics. So, how does this happen? Where does this come from? How do you actually get this chronic CDR? And how does that really lead to epigenetic changes for you and then ultimately chronic illness? Well, here you go. Raise your hand and honestly answer this right now. If you or do you ever have a consistent exposure to difficult relationships? Okay. Do you surround yourself with people who do not encourage you or uplift you, but actually do the opposite? They drain you. They take you down. They just create drama around you and set off this response. Do you have or expose yourself to daily negative news? What do you listen to when you wake up in the morning? Do you listen to news and stressful politics? Are you on the social platforms and all the drama that can occur? I wish you were me. Look at how great I am. Your life sucks. Mine is better. All these things that create such an emotional, traumatic reaction, we're inviting into our life every single day. Are you watching violent and dramatic movies, TV shows? Do you play gaming with shooting and stealing and violence? By chance, do you have any family stress? Divorce, difficult children, marital stress, relationship stress? All of these things, this constant input into your brain is killing you. Choose. Are you dealing with killing and chaos, explosions and expletives, dangers and drama? If you choose that every day, if that's happening to you today, some of this is unfortunately thrust on you and you don't always have a choice, but a lot of it we actually invite in. If we consistently are doing this, you will be setting off your cellular dangerous response. You will be shifting your epigenetics. You will get stuck in this pathway and you will alter your destination. You will not end up in San Antonio. I'm not saying that Albuquerque is a bad town. I'm just saying it wasn't the town I set off and headed towards. And often you guys are expressing chronic illness, chronic disease. It's not the pathway that you were destined for. It's not the one you for sure chose, but it's where you're at today. This constant chronic onset of epigenetic changes is literally one of the major reasons in America we have an epidemic of chronic illness. We have a 150% increase of a multitude of major diseases today compared to 25 years ago. If you look at our environment, if you look at the opportunities for these traumatic, stressful things that go into our brain, that go into our eyes, that we are surrounded with, you will also be able to track this back to about 25, 30 years ago as well, the invention of the internet, and then the onslaught of access to information and politics and news and weather and bad things going on all around us. What this does from a more cellular standpoint is something you've heard about before. It's called the fight or flight response. When you get into an altercation physically, you've all felt the adrenaline rush. When you've been in a car accident, you felt the adrenaline rush. When you've had something really bad happen around you or to somebody around you, you have felt this fight or flight response. These are designed to happen sporadically throughout our life, not constantly. Your body is not designed to have constant adrenaline overload. When you're exposed to these scenarios and you're in this constant fight or flight situation, it wears you out. Let me explain how it wears you out. Physiologically, science has proven this ongoing CDR, cellular dangerous response, this ongoing, consistent, heightened fight or flight, it wears out your brain, primarily your pituitary gland. That is the gland in your brain, and it is a big part in response to a variation of vital things happening, but one of the ones that you are going to relate to is the production of melatonin and your ability to sleep correctly. The second thing that occurs, constant adrenaline being released from these exposures to politics and pollutants and toxic relationships and social media, dramatic, traumatic, constant issues, is it just creates constant adrenaline. That is produced from your adrenal gland, and your adrenal gland will be exhausted. Adrenal exhaustion is rampant today, and you've even heard about it, but you've not connected it to what's going on inside your brain. You think it's only going on outside in the physiology. The pituitary gland, the adrenal gland, and then ultimately it's going to lead cellularly to mitochondrial exhaustion. These are within your cells. You've heard of mitochondria. The biggest thing everyone relates it to is the production of ATP. This is your energy sources. If your mitochondria are exhausted, you will be fatigued. Wrap all that up. Well, when you get this going on for enough periods of time, years of this, you're going to have chronic scenarios of this. You're going to have sleep disorders basically because you've overwhelmed your pituitary gland. You're going to have chronic inflammatory disease because when your adrenal gland is shut off and exhausted, your cortisol levels go through the roof, and that leads to inflammation. And then, of course, when your melatonins are off, you're going to be chronically fatigued. 60 million American people deal with sleep issues. 9 out of the top 10 diseases in America are related to inflammation, and 38% of Americans deal with fatigue, chronic fatigue. That's all the bad news. But as you know through my podcast, we are all about the good news. And here's the good news. If you realize you're a victim of constant CDR and then resulting epigenetics, although your DNA is not something you can alter, your epigenetics for sure can be reversed. You can back that train up. You can go all the way back to that switch gate where it rerouted you, where it took you to Albuquerque instead of San Antonio. You can actually back yourself up right to that switch gate. You can get the switch gate to go back to what you originally were destined, genetically designed to be, and it will reroute you at that point back to your original destination. The great news is epigenetics can be reversed. We're going to give you the top 5 ways for you to get back to your destination. Reverse your epigenetics and the impact and the effect that you've already had happen of constant cellular dangerous response, CDR. Number 1, you have to give your pituitary gland a break, and a long break. You need to remove yourself from relationships that set off the CDR. Often, unfortunately, this means removing yourself from difficult relationships or at least choosing how to consume relationships, meaning that you don't have to get rid of all of your friends, but you can surely choose when, how often, and where you meet and you consume that relationship. Just don't put yourself in situations that you know are going to be stressful. If you do, you're going to set off this and set yourself right back and overload your pituitary gland. Surround yourself with people who are positive and encouraging and lift you up, that don't bring drama to your life. Number 2, stop your daily CDR, which means, are you watching violent, consistent, traumatic movies? You need to stop the violent, dramatic input going into your brain, especially in the morning. The movies, the gaming, the news, the social media. You need to reduce and or eliminate this for a period of time, if not forever, because it is doing nothing but setting off, just like my son, when he saw Captain America and the torture going on. You guys are watching this every day. You love, if you watch Netflix, 90% of the movies are violence, killing, R-rated, horrible, bad things. And we are so numbed up by this. You may be mentally numbed up. Your body is also numbed up, which means you're in this constant state of fight or flight. No wonder you're sick. No wonder you're stressed out. No wonder you have anxiety. No wonder you can't sleep. Stop the madness. Stop this daily input into your brain of all this violence and unnecessary drama and trauma. All right, number 3, you have to repair your adrenal glands. By doing that, you will stabilize your cortisol levels and you will reduce your inflammation drastically. Well, how to do that? There's a lot of supplements out there to really help adrenal exhaustion recover. Some of the simplest ones are ashwagandha, as well as rhodelia. These are herbs, very normal, natural, grown in our environment. These are not pharmaceutical. You want to find someone to help you understand the dosage of those, probably. Find either a functional medicine doctor or a chiropractor that understands these things. Naturopath will help you with that. And sometimes you can just start taking some very low dosages online, buying those herbs from an on-site source. Another one is Pure Encapsulations Adrenal Cortex Supplements. Really great one for adrenal exhaustion. There are many out there. I would look for supplements that have pantothenic acid, licorice root, and adaptogens. These are great for adrenal support. You've got to give your adrenals supplementation, and they will come back. Number 4, you've got to find mitochondrial support. As I say, those mitochondria are the most impacted thing at the cellular level from the chronic CDR and epigenetics. How do you bring that back? Well, there's some really great science out there today supporting a thing called NAD+. Look it up. Really awesome. I've been talking about methylene blue in prior podcast. I'm still talking about it because it's great for mitochondria repair and regeneration. But you want to do that with infrared saunas. Any one of those or all 3 of those at times together are going to repair and regenerate and restart your mitochondria. You're going to find energy you've never had. If you're dealing with chronic fatigue, you've got to stop the madness, repair the adrenals, and turn back on the mitochondria. But last and surely not least, you've got to find your way back to things that are beautiful. We talk often about getting outside, seeing what God has created and enjoying that. Green spaces, lakes, waters, waterfall. But finally, brothers and sisters, you need to focus and remind yourself of what is true, what is noble, what is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, and whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, you need to think about those things. Yes, that's Philippians 4:8, my favorite verse. Never forget it, memorize it, and start thinking of the positive. There's plenty around you if you just look for it. If you just think about it, you'll be surprised how it starts showing up more prevalent to you. My last bit of advice today, and I hope it wasn't a lecture, but an encouragement, is that there's always hope for you. There's always hope for your health. You don't stop repairing yourself until you're 6 feet under. Nobody's getting out of this thing alive, but we could enjoy the ride a lot better. But being healthy is not convenient. It's one of my favorite statements. We often want to think that we can attain something valuable with little or no effort. There is nothing more valuable than your health. I always say, would you rather be healthy or wealthy when you're older, but you can't be both? Everybody would choose health over wealth. It is the most valuable thing you have. But you have to take time to gain your health, to maintain your health, to regain your health. Being healthy is not convenient. Today, I'm asking a couple of favors. My first one is you need to make your health a priority. You need to spend 1 hour. You need to commit 1 hour every day for the rest of your life. And you need to come up with a daily regimen of self-care. Here are the things I would recommend. Wake up earlier. Drink warm water with lemon, 8 to 10 ounces as soon as you get up. Get moving very quickly. You then need to spend 15 minutes with direct sunlight. Set your circadian rhythm and get the full vitamins of full spectrum sunlight. Listen to my last podcast. You need to take vitamin supplementation, especially ones to help your adrenal glands and your mitochondria repair. Vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin A. There are great resources, inexpensive ways to get great vitamins and nutrients, but you need to start every day with that. You need to get protein early on in your body, especially as you get older. You need to exercise daily, positive mental input. You need to turn off the crap and start putting intentionally positive things in your morning. Listening to positive podcasts, reading good books, the Bible, the Psalms, positive affirmations, and not only reading them, but saying them to yourself every day. If you started a 1-hour regimen where you did those things consistently every day, the great news is not only will you reverse the epigenetics and turn off this constant heightened fight or flight state that you're stuck in, but you'll find there's hope. And in hope, you find life, you find enjoyment, you find a different perspective. Your relationships get better along with your mental health. Today, we have a chronic epidemic of mental health issues, but right here, I can tell you, we are inviting most of it into our lives. You have the choice today to be healthy. My second favor is this. I'm asking you from my heart to share these podcasts with others. You are our marketing plan. People only hear about this stuff and listen to the stuff if you tell them to. We do our best to get these podcasts out, but you are our best ability to share and make this go viral, or at least reach other people with it. So please subscribe, share this, and go in and give us a 5-star review. That helps the algorithm. People find us when you do. If you love this, if you're getting any benefit out of it, I love that you're a consumer, but please help us be a creator by creating connections to others. This is Dr. Wall, and I'm signing out from another episode of the Unplugged Healthcast. Always remember, be blessed, be healthy, never give up, never give in. I'll see you on the next episode.